Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. We've got a great weekend edition of the program coming your way. Stick around. It's on the way next.
FreshPatch.com is making dogs like me happy. They send out real grass pads for us to use indoors. Now when it's cold outside, I can go inside. And when I've used up the real grass patch, the mailman brings me a new Fresh Patch. It's the best idea since doggy treats. Convince your mommy to try it today. I suggest you try Puppy Dog Eyes. FreshPatch.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 10%. That's FreshPatch.com, promo code RADIO.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday, November the 3rd, National Housewives Day, National Sandwich Day, National Bison Day. Sunday, the 4th, National Chicken Lady Day, National
Chicken Lady?
I was going to just roll past that. I don't know what that means. National Candy Day, and Daylight Savings Time ends. All of that happening this weekend. Also, want to let you know, we've got a great guest coming up, Dr. Ana Fuentevilla, I hope I said that right, going to talk about the opioid crisis. And I've got some quotes to get to, too. Muhammad Ali said, "I'm the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was." I like that. And then Leonardo da Vinci said, "I've been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Be willing is not enough. We must do." I love that.
All righty.
A lot of stuff to squeeze into this break now. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. We appreciate you joining us.
Want to honor a veteran? Consider giving to Veterans Tickets Foundation, a national nonprofit who supports our currently serving military, veterans, and family members of those we've lost in action by providing them with free tickets to sporting events, concerts, performing arts, and family activities. VetTix is dedicated to giving back to those who gave us so much. Learn how you can help at vettix.org. VetTix, T-I-X.org.
Coming up, we've got your brain on drugs, but first, the University of South Carolina has had so many drunk students during home football games that the campus hospital just can't keep up. So they're like getting hurt, apparently.
Oh, I was going to say, what does the hospital have to do with it?
Apparently they got kids getting drunk. Maybe they're like, I don't know if it's
falling
drinking
down
so
the
much.
bleachers.
Yeah. So it's a bad idea. Don't do that. You know, if you have a casual drink and you can, function, that's not a problem. But if you have so much to drink that you can't function, that is definitely a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, might be time to check into getting some help. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We're getting to the time of year where we start planning for holiday parties and other events that often include alcohol. I encourage you to have some alcohol-free options as well. And if you are drinking, be sure to have a designated driver. If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, there is help. TimeForRehab.com would love to connect you with someone who can be there for you or that loved one. If you feel like it's time to finally get the help you need, we're here for you. TimeForRehab.com. That's TimeForRehab.com. And this is your brain on drugs. A man whose excessive flatulence forced the police detectives to cut short their interrogation has pled guilty to federal gun and drug charges. This came from the Kansas City Star, where they reported that a 25-year-old by the name of Sean Sykes Jr. entered a plea that he was guilty. The charges stem from a traffic stop where he had a backpack with drugs and guns. He was a passenger in a vehicle. When they asked for his address, he leaned over to one side of the chair and released a toot before answering. Court documents said that he continued to be flatulent. They finally ended the interview. He will be sentenced at a later date. A pre-sentence report is complete with some interesting side notes, we'll just say. And that's what happens when your brain is on drugs. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Real Housewives of New York City star Jill Zarin is selling her house. Guess how much she's asking for that?
I honestly have
$3 million.
Okay.
So, I don't know if that's a...
If it's worth $3 million, then I guess that's what she should be asking.
Netflix announced that Orange is the New Black will be going away at the end of this season. It was one of their first scripted shows.
I had heard that, actually. This is their last
They're going to conclude with season 7, and they just said, it's time for it to be done. So I wonder if that's going to be replaced with something different, or what the deal is there.
They'll replace the show. They're not just going to leave blank airtime.
Well, that's the difference with a streaming company, is they don't have a schedule to fill. They just throw things, and you watch it when you want to watch it. Mm-hmm. So that is a little different. So I don't know. Maybe they won't. And one last thing here. Frances Bean Cobain. You know who that is?
I think that's Kurt Cobain's
Exactly.
kid.
She's the daughter of Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain. Just sold her Los Angeles bungalow for $2.3 million.
She's old enough to be...
Apparently.
Wow.
Must be. I haven't kept up with the Cobain family, so I don't
Me
know.
either.
Thanks
But
for
that's
listening.
crazy.
I don't know if she's in
It's hard.
movies or
It's hard
something.
to wrap your mind around the fact that it's been that long.
Heidi, we're getting old. That's what's going on here.
I know.
She must be in movies or something. I don't know why else she'd be in the big screen, little screen segment.
I don't
but
know.
I don't know. That's where she is. Thanks.
Her mom is in movies, so maybe that's why.
That could be. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.
Every day, approximately 23 U.S. military veterans take their own lives. Big Paws Canine Foundation is helping to decrease that number, providing service and companion dogs to our disabled veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Partnering a hero with a specifically trained dog significantly reduces the incidence of suicide, and your support makes all the difference. Find out how you can help our American heroes. Join the pack at BigPawsCanine.com.
Now your scoop of the day brought to you by FreshPatch.com. Promo code radio. Billy Idol is being sued for allegedly inviting a woman to a meet and greet in his hotel room after his concert in Vegas. This was 2 years ago. The woman, Juliana Berg, said she was left out on her own with no place to stay and had to sleep on the streets. What does that mean? I don't
She
understand.
had no plans to go anywhere prior to Billy Idol saying, hey, would you like to come up for a meet and greet?
Or could it be that she was with a boyfriend, and then the boyfriend was like, "You're not coming back with me if you wanted to go hang out in his hotel room."
I
don't know what's
think
going
so.
on.
I mean, she
I'm just
clearly
really
had
confused.
a place to go.
Are you confused by this story?
I'm extremely confused by this story. Go get her, Billy. Don't let her push you around like that.
I've got a link in the show notes. I liked when Billy Idol was in the movie. What was
Wedding
the movie?
Singer.
The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool that he played himself in
Yeah,
that movie.
it's awesome.
And he seems like a neat guy. And I've never been to a meet and greet, so I don't know. Maybe he's not such a nice guy, but seems like it. An elderly woman in South China has hung hundreds of mirrors from her 5th floor balcony to drive away evil spirits. Well, the mirrors are starting to freak out her neighbors. That would be kind of freaky.
I would think it would be dangerous because if the sun reflects off of those, wouldn't other drivers be
I don't know. Well,
blinded?
She's on a balcony, 5th floor, so there's nobody driving that high up. But
No,
I suppose
but-
the angle of the sun,
Yeah.
But, you could say the same thing for windows, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but I've never really thought about that.
But windows don't reflect.
Does she think, well, they do. There's a reflection off glass.
Not like there is
Not
on
like a mirror,
mirrors.
yeah. But I don't understand why you would do that. I wonder what makes her think that hanging mirrors would help.
I don't know.
Are evil spirits afraid of mirrors? A dog owner in Oklahoma is being called out, is calling out her pup for scheming to get free McDonald's hamburgers. So, okay, I did a terrible job starting on this. Should I roll through this again?
Yeah, let's
There's
see
a
if you
dog
can-
owner in Oklahoma that's calling out her own puppy for scheming to get free McDonald's hamburgers. That's a little better.
Okay.
Betsy Reyes of Oklahoma City says her dog Princess has been sneaking out at night and then sits outside of McDonald's pretending to be a stray when the dog has a home to go to.
That's amazing.
This dog is pretending to be a homeless dog. And people have been buying. They're like, "Oh, it's a cute. Let's get an extra burger and throw that to the dog." And the dog's like, "Okay, I'll be back tomorrow night." I think
Dog's
that's,
lucky nobody just picked him up and took him home with them.
or maybe somebody did, and that's how this lady found out what was going on. I have no idea. The New York Times is reporting that Chief of Staff John Kelly once got into a fight with Corey Lewandowski inside the Oval Office. Now, we don't talk politics here, but that was such a weird story. I thought, we got to at least mention that. Can you imagine having a brawl in there? How bad would it be if you start breaking stuff
I
in
bet
the
it
Oval
happens
Office?
more often than you would think.
Yeah, probably. A growing number of wealthy Americans are hiring a $10,000 a year sleep coach to advise them on how to get 8 hours of sleep.
You need
So,
a coach to learn
10
how to
hours.
sleep.
Yeah, so you're struggling to get sleep and you're,
Just take a pill like
scrolling
everybody
through-
else.
scrolling through the internet, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, are you tired? I'll tell you how to get more sleep for $10,000.
Wow.
I remember one time we were at a hotel and they had a sleep CD.
That was amazing, by the way.
And we asked for permission and they let us take that. And then my wife over here used that so much that she actually ruined the CD. It like burned it up. I made a copy of it as it started to skip, so I have a copy. I just never finished that project.
Yeah, it's an awesome CD.
It is. It's got this soothing voice.
Soothing
that's
talking voice.
And the guy talks like this, and he's making you tired. And if you're driving right now, you should probably not listen to me talk like this. But it made me fall asleep. I don't think I ever heard more than about 20 seconds of that CD. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.
Are you trying to find the perfect gift for someone with a good sense of humor? FunkyMonkeyShirts.com has a good selection of funny t-shirts and more. Some with Christmas themes. One that even replaces the ugly Christmas sweater for your next party. Find some silly shirts at FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. Also, learn how you can sell your own designs to make some extra Christmas cash. There's a link at the bottom of the page at FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. That's FunkyMonkeyShirts.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We have a special guest joining us right now, Dr. Ana Fuentevilla. We're going to be talking about a task force at United Health Group that's addressing the opioid crisis. And this is a pretty big deal, isn't it, Dr. Fuentevilla?
It is. It is truly an epidemic that is impacting everyone, every family, every community. We're still seeing a death from opioid overdose every 13 minutes. And over 2 million Americans suffering from opioid use disorder today.
And this is something that, you know, when you think about somebody that's addicted to drugs, it's not necessarily the person that you have in your mind. Opioids, it knows no socioeconomic boundary, does it?
That is exactly true. It doesn't. Every community, every area of our socioeconomic, community. The very wealthy, the middle class, the poor, everyone is afflicted, every neighborhood. So it's really not sparing anyone or any family.
And this is one of those things where many of us may even know somebody that's struggling with this, but if you don't know, they can hide it pretty darn well. But this is a good opportunity right now to kind of get some information and learn a little more about what we can do so we can help out. What are some of the things, first of all, that when we're going in to talk to our doctor, what are some of the things we should be talking to them about to hopefully avoid getting hooked on opioids?
That is a really great question because I think everyone really can kind of take control of themselves, of their children. So every individual really could have a conversation with their doctor about the medication that's being prescribed for pain, an opioid. And I think important questions to ask is why is this medication needed to treat my condition or my pain? Are there other things that could be used to treat my condition or pain that are safer? Things like over-the-counter pain medications, something as simple as Tylenol or ibuprofen, or other treatment alternatives that could be safer in treating pain. And then if you and your doctor have that conversation and decide that the opioid is important, the next very important couple of other critical questions to ask are, would this medicine, this opioid, interfere with anything else I'm taking? Because there are drug interactions that are dangerous in combination with opioids. And then lastly, we do have recommendations about opioid safe prescribing from the Centers for the CDC that would really guide doctors and patients on safe prescribing. And basically, and very simply, the lower the dose, the better, and the shorter the course of the medicine, the better. What we do know is that addiction risk goes up after 3 days on these medications. So the CDC guidelines are really guiding doctors to prescribe a lower dose for the shortest amount of time possible. So those are key questions that you as an individual can talk with your doctor about to really minimize the risk of having to use the opioid and the risk for addiction in the future. That's
fantastic. And I'm reading in the information here, it says about 70% of misused opioid prescriptions were obtained by being stolen or purchased from a friend or relative. So it's not always that the doctor is prescribing them to me. But, again, if I'm hooked on something like that, I'm going to find it. And sadly, I may be stealing it from grandma.
That's right. I think commonly those prescriptions for opioids are not finished because of what we just said, is you don't need it for more than a couple of days for really severe things like having a tooth extracted or having surgery, and then the pain is resolved, and those medicines sit in our homes. They sit in our kitchen counters, in our medicine cabinets, in our cars, and it's very important that we get rid of them safely, we dispose of them safely. Most pharmacies are participating, local police departments are participating. It's a place where you can go take those bottles of unused opioids, and these partners will take them for you and dispose of them safely so that our children, our friends are not picking them up and leading to addiction.
And the worst thing you can do is either throw them in a garbage can, that's a bad idea, or flush them or down a drain or down a toilet, because now you're putting all of that in the water system. That's bad too, right?
We believe it's not good, and so the recommendation is still that it's better to dispose of them in a safe place, like these take-back programs. And if you have to dispose of them at home, there are ways to make them undesirable, mixing them with cat litter or with coffee grounds. It's better not to drop the bottles in the garbage because people can still find them and pick them up and use them.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. If somebody would like to get some more information on any of what we talked about, where do they go to find you online?
You can find more information about opioids online at uhd.com and search for opioids. And then lastly, I'd refer you to the cdc.gov, which is another good place with lots of information.
Thank you so much again for taking the time to chat with us.
It was a pleasure.
Dr. Ana Fuentevilla, and we've been chatting about the opioid prescription crisis, and I'm going to put a link in our show notes to make it easy to find everything we talked about. You'll find that in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers, or a combination of both. There's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow your sales, and you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Text Radio Trial to number 22828. That's Radio Trial, all one word, to number 22828.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Before the 1800s, people had a first and second sleep. They would sleep for 3 to 4 hours, then they would wake up for 2 to 3 hours to do some type of activity, and they would go back to sleep until morning.
Really?
So they'd probably get up to milk the cows or do some sort of.
I suppose because they probably had late night chores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Back in the day, they would sleep early, get up in the middle of the night, do stuff, and then go back to sleep. I think I do that once in a while now.
Not on purpose.
No, not on purpose.
You're like, oh, it's 3.
I should probably go back to sleep. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
FreshPatch.com is making dogs like me happy. They send out real grass pads for us to use indoors. Now when it's cold outside, I can go inside. And when I've used up the real grass patch, the mailman brings me a new Fresh Patch. It's the best idea since doggy treats. Convince your mommy to try it today. I suggest you try Puppy Dog Eyes. FreshPatch.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 10%. That's FreshPatch.com, promo code RADIO.
Time now for the grandiloquent word of the day, and the word today is lunting. 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 What do you think lunting is, Heidi?
I have no idea. What is lunting?
The activity of walking about whilst smoking a pipe. So if you're smoking a pipe and walking, you are lunting, my friend.
Alrighty. I'm not a pipe smoker.
If it weren't for lunting, I'm afraid I'd get little to no exercise at all. That's the quote that's in here, used in a sentence. Lunting. I tried to smoke a pipe because my uncle smoked a pipe when I was a kid, and I always thought it smelled so good. I tried it. It's not good. I was like, ugh.
It was funny watching you.
Then I sent him a message like, these don't taste as good. He said, do not even try.
Start.
It took me 25 years to quit that. Okay. Thank you. Your advice and the awful taste are going to help for me to not do that. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Want to honor a veteran? Consider giving to Veterans Tickets Foundation, a national nonprofit who supports our currently serving military, veterans, and family members of those we've lost in action by providing them with free tickets to sporting events, concerts, performing arts, and family activities. VetTix is dedicated to giving back to those who gave us so much. Learn how you can help at vettix.org. VetTix, TIX.org.
Now from the Weird News File, I've got this story. A Nebraska public school district says they will not serve kangaroo meat ever again. So there was a bizarre incident where Kevin Fry, the former junior-senior high school head cook at the Potter Dix school. It's Potter Dix. So Heidi, quit your snickering over there. He added kangaroo meat to chili and served it for lunch on October the 10th. According to a letter from the superintendent, he confronted the man about his decision to serve the exotic meat, and he said that, hey, that should be a decision made by each family. Families, not schools, should make that decision. So he has been let go from his position. The school says, I apologize for any anxiety or harm that it may have been caused. You know, it's not like he was serving them anything. Yeah.
I mean, if they ate it, they clearly liked it, so what's the problem?
So it says here that he has been, for quite some time, trying to get them to switch to kangaroo meat. He's provided the school district with documentation about the nutrition quality of kangaroo meat. Wouldn't that be expensive, you'd think? I don't know. Maybe
I don't think so there.
In Nebraska? This was in Nebraska.
Oh, it was in Nebraska. I was thinking this was overseas somewhere.
No, this is in Nebraska.
Oh, well,
so
yeah.
I'm not sure where you even get kangaroo meat.
That's a little different.
I've got a link to the story in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
Now, your moment of duh. Investigators in Crossville, Tennessee are asking for the public's help in searching for a suspect who stole a motorized shopping cart from a store. You know, the ones that people use to drive around? He's like, this is pretty handy. So October the 23rd at about 7 p.m., a man loaded a motorized cart into his truck. It says the truck of a red sedan. So I must mean the trunk. I'm going to just change that here. The trunk of a red sedan. Then left. This happened at the Dollar General Mart. Investigators say the suspect was wearing a gray shirt, boots, a hat, and brown pants. The cart was black and similar to the one on the photo. It's hard to see that on the radio.
Is it?
I have it in the show notes.
Does it even have the charger for it?
I don't know. I don't know that they thought this through because there's so many bad ideas that I'm thinking with this. Stealing a motorized scooter. Where are you going to use this thing?
Exactly.
It's not like you can drive around with this.
Exactly. That's so bizarre.
It is a very bizarre story. I do have a link in the show notes if you want to see the photo or if you want to call the number if you know where it is. It's in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
Every day, approximately 23 U.S. military veterans take their own lives. Big Paws Canine Foundation is helping to decrease that number, providing service and companion dogs to our disabled veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Partnering a hero with a specifically trained dog significantly reduces the incidence of suicide, and your support makes all the difference. Find out how you can help our American heroes. Join the pack at BigPawsCanine.com.
Time now for fake news or Florida. Heidi has to tell me if this is a true story that happened in the great state of Florida or if it's made up just to try to trick her. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right. A Florida man who admittedly bit his dog to establish dominance over the animal has pled guilty to a felony charge. Fake news or Florida?
Florida.
It is a true story. It says he avoided prison time in connection with the bizarre incident by pleading guilty. But he said,
that's
I was
not how you do
trying
it.
to establish dominance, so I bit my dog. Here, I got to tell you what I did the other day. I walked in our house. Our dogs are so bizarre. They will bark from the other room, but they won't run to the door to see who it is.
They won't bother to see who it is.
They're like, I don't care who it is. If somebody's here, I'm just going to bark. So our dog Mandy, when I walked in the house, she barked once. Not a whole bunch of barking, just a... And then I walked in the house, and she was walking over to her bowl to get a drink. So I snuck up behind her, and I barked once. And she jumped in the air and, like, scurried on the tile.
You need a hobby.
Then I felt really bad. So I snuggled with her for a while. I was like, I was just being silly. She looked at me like, what kind of an animal are you? I was trying to take a drink. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of The John and Heidi Show is brought to you by The John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying The John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We'd like to wrap things up with good news. I've been giving Heidi a choice here, so you tell me. After becoming the largest European city to offer free public transit, they're enjoying a revolution from their buses, or dad confronts bully by treating him like a son. Now the homeless boy has money and friendship.
Bully.
The bully story.
Yes.
You know you've skipped that other one a couple of times now.
Yeah.
So Maybe I'll just one of these days not have any other stories, and you'll have
Well,
to
this
listen.
one sounds really sweet.
It does, and it is a really sweet story. Our good news comes your way courtesy of Odiva, the monthly subscription service just for the ladies. All the details at radiosavings.com. And here's the story that Heidi chose. When the father heard that his son was being bullied at school, he took more of a compassionate approach to confronting the problem. At first, Aubrey Fonot was angry to hear that his 8-year-old son Jordan was being picked on at school by another boy named Tamaron. But instead of fighting fire with fire, he decided to invite the boy out for some one-on-one time together. Can you imagine how scared you'd be to
that
be the
kid
bully?
had to be terrified.
With permission from the family, he picked up the boy in his car and drove him around the Houston, Texas area, and they sat in the car. He gently asked him about why he was fighting with his son. To the father's surprise, he said it was because other kids were bullying him at school, because he didn't have clean clothes. A quick call to the boy's mother revealed the family was homeless and having trouble with financial stability. Without hesitation, the gentleman took this young boy shopping for new clothes, and as if he was buying for his own son. Afterwards, they spent the rest of the car ride laughing and singing along to the radio. How cool is that?
That's super cool.
He says, we have no clue what these children are going through these days because a lot of us just don't care. And this is not an uncommon story for a lot of people. So I spent a lot of my day yesterday shopping and teaching this young man about self-respect. Think about what a difference that's going to make for this kid.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool.
But here's the thing. Just because someone is being mean to you doesn't mean you
No.
turn around and
You
do
don't.
the same thing to somebody else. Think about how it's making you
Exactly.
feel. Why would you put that upon someone else in addition? That's
Yeah,
just
ple-
not right.
So please don't do that. But if you
Don't do it
have
to anybody.
No. But if you do have somebody that's being a bully, I love this concept of
Yeah.
finding out what the problem is, rather than what a lot of people would do is, just the kid would get in
you've
trouble.
seen my
Oh, yeah.
reaction to things that
I've got
upset
a link
my family.
in the story. I got a link to the story in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com if you'd like to read all about it. Thanks for listening. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. We appreciate you joining us for the John and Heidi Show.